episode of People and Careers. I'm Abhi and I'll be your host today. So today we are going to discuss about something very interesting. HR and IT, two different fields and how is it going to impact. And we'll also be discussing the hidden demand in this particular field. So we have a very special guest today, Mr. Harshana. But before introducing him, let me take you through the format of the podcast today. So we'll be having four segments, starting with the spark, which means like how Mr. Harshana found his path to become an IT professional and how HR helped him. And the number two is going to be the intern. So in this combination, IT and HR, what are the internship opportunities out there, and how what are the opportunities and threats or the challenges a person has to overcome. And then we get into the next segment, HR plus IT, like how does this combination overall work. And we get into the reality, in the real scenario, what are the opportunities out there and how this setup goes, right? And after that we'll be having two more interesting segments, myth versus reality, and a quick rapid fire session. Yes, now it's time to introduce our special guest, Mr. Harshana Seneviratne. So he is an expert in the field of IT with over a decade of experience. Right now, he's a senior project manager and a business analyst. Welcome to the show, Mr. Harshana.
Thank you very much, Abhi, and thank you for that introduction. And it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me for this second episode of People and Careers. So thank you again.
All right. So, Mr. Harshana, I said you like we have few segments arranged. Before going into that, I want to ask a personal question from you. So, how like the role you're doing right now? We all know like you are not an IT professional, you are not an HR professional, you are an IT professional. So, what do you do exactly, and what is the role all about?
Right. Okay. Very interesting question. So, yes, I'm not a HR professional. I'm an IT professional. So what I really do is I deliver software solutions to global customers, solve their business problems through technology, and I deliver them at the right time, at the right moment. So that is what I do. So I'm responsible to managing the project, managing the team, as well as the entire overall process of delivering software solutions to these customers. So if I simplify what I do, that is what I do.
All right. So you basically day to day you manage people and deliver the solutions along with the team.
Correct.
Right. Super. So let's go ahead with the segment number one, the spark. So all of us here, like even me, including the audience, we want to know where exactly you got the spark to start your career in IT. Where did it actually spark to you? Okay, this should be my field. Open to you now.
Right. Okay. Very interesting question. Right. So normally, most most people get that spark probably during their teenage when they are 13, 14, 15, 16. But funny stories for me, the spark came somewhere when I was about 5, 6, right? When I was a kid, right? A very young kid at the time, because my mother's youngest brother got a computer, so my grandfather bought him a computer, and that is the first time I saw a computer. I thought it was another small TV, right? Because I only noticed the monitor. I didn't know what the other box was, right? So when I saw my uncle, because he later on he became a IT professional, so he became a computer engineer. He studied in Australia and became a computer engineer. Um, so with that, because he was the one who inspired me, because he looked a little bit like me as well in appearance also. So that is where I think the spark happened, and from that point onwards, I thought, okay, I need to do something related to IT. Right? I didn't know at the time, uh, what roles were there, what other job opportunities were there when I was a kid. Right? Then when I got into school, I was not a very studious person. I got very low marks for maths, science, all these important subjects, right? But I made sure that I got A plus for IT, right? And my favorite subject or my favorite period was the computer period. So So going to the computer lab was my favorite period, and I made sure that I got my IT results to the highest possible level. So that is where I actually like wanted to work and wanted to continue as a career. And later on, if I can remember, after my O levels, fortunately I studied at. Fortunately, my school provided the opportunity to start the degree while I was while I was studying for my A levels. So my school, I studied at Trinity College. So at the time, the principal had this forward-looking vision where he gave the opportunity for students who completed their O levels to start their degrees or professional programs while within the school. So I started my degree at that time while I was doing my A levels, studying my A levels. So I did my first year, completed my first year just soon after my O levels completed, and then I took a pause just to focus on my A levels, and then also I was like part of these clubs and societies because I was not in the class.
So,
Most of
if
the
I'm
time.
to pause you there, what did you do for A levels?
I did commerce.
Okay.
I did commerce.
Okay.
That's a very good question that you asked because normally in IT, the mainstream is maths.
Yeah. Okay.
But I took a different turn, and I was not in class most of the time, so I was participating in different activities, clubs, and societies. So that was my thing. So soon after my A levels, I restarted my degree and completed it, and then I moved into the IT industry. At the time when I started, it was not a huge industry like what we have today, and it was we didn't have internships, so it was directly the training job. So that's how I started.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Ashwin. So, when you speak, I noticed that you are very passionate about IT since five.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the next question. Now we find people like who are struggling to find their passion. So what would be a suggestion for people like that, students like them? Like, do they need to wait and find their passion, or do they have to right away start with whatever the opportunity comes in and then make it their passion? What do you think?
I think both, right? So first thing you need to do something, you need to have that passion. You need to have that eager to do it, and you should like what you do, right? So I think you first should identify what you really want, your inner self, and you need to make sure that you get there and get on board and make it be like reach the excellence of it, right? Reach the highest possible level, because you need to have that intent to do something good. But on the other side, sometimes there could be situations where you are in the middle, right? So in a situation like that, what I would recommend is the same thing that you just said, right? Probably you start somewhere, right? You start somewhere and see where that career takes you, right? Because to get to a destination, there are various paths that you can take. If you are going on a trip, right, you can take the long route, short route, or mid route, right? So whatever the route that you think is feasible, sometimes you need to learn how to swim. You need to jump into the pool and swim, right? So probably if you're hesitant in the middle, probably you take the opportunity that comes in first, dig deep and see what are the opportunities you have in that. If not, try something new, right? When you are young, you can always fail, right? Every I think from the age of, I think most of our students and the viewers would be at a very young age, probably from 20 to 30, right? I would say in that era, you can, or in that age group, you can always test, right? Trial and error, that is given. That gives you experience. But having said that, you need to find a passion to be to excel, right? So for me, I don't know what I will be if not for IT. I don't know I can't imagine myself being a banker, right? I can't imagine myself because I'm not good with money, right? So I would think you need to find your passion, also you need to make sure that if you're in the middle, start something, right? And see how you can achieve excellence, find a passion. So it works both ways, depends on the situation that you are in.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ashana, for that very descriptive answer. So that again connects me to another question.
Yeah.
So you are a very passionate IT professional. So you made this decision when you were 5. Reflecting back to your life, do you think the decision you have made at that age is correct?
Of course, yes. So, given where I am today, I'm extremely happy and grateful where I am today. So, that is one thing that we need, all of us should be thinking about. So, we have to be grateful for what we have right now. And because I would like to reflect, because when I started, right, compared to the guidance and support and the content available was not that huge at the time when I started, because uh, we didn't, like, for me, I didn't have much guidance, right? I followed my passion, I followed my heart, to be honest with you, right? I wanted to do something, I didn't know what exactly in IT I should do, right? I didn't know I will be a project manager or a software engineer or a business analyst. I didn't know exactly what I would do, but I wanted to do something related to IT, right? So the main core is you need to follow your passion, follow your heart, right? You need to trust yourself, trust yourself to do well, right? And that helped me to take whatever the decisions that I took, right? uh, Nobody influenced me, it's solely my decision, my complete my uh, independent decisions. I evaluated, sometimes I might consulted uh, as a youngster, probably my parents or few of my good friends, definitely. But I would say whatever the decisions that I took was driven by my passion and my ultimate goal. So you need to be very uh, you need to you need to be driven by your passion. Sometimes you might when you are young, right, you might be driven by the monetary privileges or the lucrativeness or the money that you will get out of a job. Yes, IT is a very lucrative, very highly paid profession. That's why many are attracted to this profession. But for me, I personally I didn't know how much I will get out of the job. Right. One thing I want to do is to get into IT and get the skills, learn the art of it. Right. I'm still learning. Right. And be the best that I could. So definitely, I'm happy about the decisions that I took. But the core point is you need to follow your passion and take decisions from your heart and follow your heart and trust yourself.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashana. Very good description. So um, that brings us to the end of the segment number 1. Let's move to the segment number 2, the internship. So, Mr. Harshana, being an IT professional and also equally qualified in HR, I want to know how does a job in HR look like, and also how does a job in IT look like? What's the difference?
Right. Very interesting question, and I'm going to give a controversial answer. Right. I hope my IT colleagues will not get offended or get disheartened by my answer. But if I describe IT, right, it's a STEM profession. Right. It's driven by logic, reasoning, numbers. Right. Uh, there's a logic for everything. Right. 1 + 1 is 2. Given any single day, day in, day out. That is the reality. Right. On the flip side of it, right, I would say HR is not like that, right? So you're dealing with people, right? If you take a family of 4, right, mother, father, daughter, and son, right? 4 different individuals, 4 different aspirations, 4 different thinking, right? So being in HR is like being in a family, extended family where thousands of different individuals are working, right? And sometimes you might not be the right, you might not be the favorite guy in the room, right? Because you will have to take the hit, right? HR is never the easiest job, right? So I feel like I'm a lecturer in this institute for the last 8 years, 8+ years now, almost 9. Um, I have felt, right, many, not not all, many, have this idea that HR is an easy job. If you compare accounting, for example, I have a background in finance as well. I mean, that's why I can give this answer, right? In accounting, it's very hard, right, comparatively, because it's numbers, calculations, right? No, it's kind of hard, right? In terms of examinations. But always we have to remember 1 + 1 is 2, right? But in HR, 1 + 1 could be 6, right? So I would say HR is one of the hardest jobs in this one, because for me, if I just highlight, right, what I really do is managing people, right? So I get paid for, I would say, mainly 3 things. One is managing the timelines, communication, and managing stakeholders, right? So I manage my customers, because customer is our king, and also the team, right? You have to balance the customer and the team as well, right? It's not easy, right? And also the senior stakeholders, right? About the profitability, the health of the projects. So I have to manage their expectations as well, because we have to be profitable as well as a business, right? So what I've found is, what I've experienced is, managing people is one of the hardest jobs in this world, right? It's not easy. And being in HR, right, compared to IT, right? Sometimes IT might be stressful because of the deadlines and all of that. But HR as a whole is stressful, and also you have to deal with people in a very sensitive manner, right? It's not easy to simply take decisions. So you have to think out of the box in every possible aspect, right? So being in HR, if a youngster thinks that's a easy pathway to get a job, probably no. My answer is no. If you are a passionate HR professional, if you would like to work with people, of course, that's the best profession that you can be in, and it is one of the hardest and challenging jobs. So compared to IT, I would say managing people, HR has some challenges, inherent challenges.
Because we'll be handling them individually. Each one of them are different. So I think, yeah,
Case by case.
case by case we have to handle it. Yeah.
Exactly.
But the looks of it, when we look at it out, like, maybe it's because of the stress. IT seems to be a difficult job.
Correct.
But according to your perspective, HR is difficult.
HR is difficult.
Okay.
Because of the people aspect.
All right. Okay. So interesting. So next question, Mr. Harshana. So anyone who is looking to start a career, like getting into an internship or an entry-level position, how would an HR job look in an IT industry?
Very, very interesting. So now, this is not an area that is touched, right? So most youngsters are looking for internships and careers in corporates, right? So if I give you a typical day of an intern, HR intern in a tech company, especially a startup tech company. Startup means not an organization which have, there are organizations where you have 3-4 people, right? Maybe I'm talking about an organization, maybe more, just 100 people, 150, 200 people. That's a mid-range organization, right? So a tech culture is a little different compared to a corporate culture, right? So we are kind of, a casual. We have a casual culture, right? We, from the dress, right? Once, it's just a good example, right? When I came to one of the organizations that I work for, right, I came through a tuk-tuk, right? And the tuk-tuk guy asked, when he saw people going inside wearing casuals, right, wearing sport shoes or deck shoes, right? He asked me whether this is a tuition class, right? So I said, no, it's a software company. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of culture we have. It's a different culture where there are no hierarchies, right? Even we can speak to the CEO directly without any
And also, we don't call them sir, madam.
no,
Call
we
by
just-
their first name.
first name, right? And we have that very structured, flat structure. So that is a different culture. It's a very casual culture. And with that, for a HR intern, the opportunities are, right? Most of the Sri Lankan tech companies work for global customers. 90%.
Okay.
95% I would say. Even local, there could be certain companies where they have local customers, very few, and most of the customers are foreign customers, right? So for HR intern, working in a tech company gives you, beyond Sri Lankan exposure beyond Sri Lankan boundaries. Because, for example, the company that I work for, right, the HR department runs the global HR, right? So you will get to learn the globally what are the requirements when it comes to talent hiring, right? Because you can't hire the same way that you hire in Sri Lanka, right? There are different tactics, right? How you attract talent in a different country differs from country to country, right? And how you look at professionals are different, and legalities or legal frameworks, right? Working in a HR department or as an HR intern, you will need to learn global HR policies and rules as well, because now the global tech companies are hiring across the globe, right? It's not a hiring process where focused on a central country, right? So you get to learn all these things, right? And also you have to work with foreign hiring managers, right? For example, now the current organization that I work for, Platnet, we have offices in UK headquarters, Sri Lanka, China, Dubai, Singapore, and also US. So all different countries have different legalities, right? How they work is different, right? Their requirements are different. So you have to know different countries. You work beyond Sri Lanka. You have to be globally aligned in a tech company, right? You should not have just the Sri Lankan context, right? For example, in a corporate, I would say knowing the Shop and Office Act would be sufficient. But in a tech company, you can't simply be self-sufficient by just only knowing the Shop and Office Act. You have to know how different legalities work. And also another point that HR intern can get from tech companies, right? You get to wear different hats. You will not simply do just HR operations. Sometimes you have to work with the operations leads to understand the real people problems. Because end of the day, you have to remember, for tech companies, people are the key asset. We deliver services.
Yes.
Knowledge, white collar workers, right? So people are the key asset. We don't have machinery. We don't have assets, buildings, right? That's why we can set up a tent and run a tech company, right? That's the reason, right? So we are working with the key asset. So sometimes even an intern will have to dig deep, right, and understand the operational problems, identify them, right, with the senior HR professionals. You have to work with them, right, alongside them, assist them, and understand these operational problems and give HR solutions, right? Because we are working in a highly diverse, ever-changing environment. Because today a project requirement will be stable, but suddenly next week there could be a new requirement coming up where we will need different resources, different people, different talents, right? So that kind of diversity and change is there in a tech organization, and HR will be at the forefront of this change, and you can get a huge exposure beyond Sri Lankan boundaries for intern.
Right. Okay, Mr. Ashton. So when you were talking about, I noticed two things. One is the global talent you mentioned, and also another one is knowing. Sometimes you will have to go an extra mile and understand the leads.
Correct.
So that again connects me with the CQHR syllabus, what we do at CIPM.
Yeah.
So with the latest syllabus launch, we focus mainly about the global talent management. So we have this competency model. Previously we had 10,
Yeah.
now it's 12. So I can recall that now. Why the global talent management is important now. And also another one is business acumen, knowing every other things in the company. Now I understand, okay, how important this role is. Right. So Mr. Harshanan, that brings to me to another question.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, of course, interns, we can't expect them to be well experienced. Okay, they are just beginners, might be soon after school.
Yeah.
So, what are the things they can make, they can prepare with in order to get into the industry, or what are the mistakes they can avoid before getting into the industry?
Right. So one thing, if you in general, one thing that you need to have is passion. Number one, right? Uh, so you need to be passionate about what you do, what you select, right? And also you need to be successful, right? Analytical skills, right? Analytical thinking, right? Why did you think why it is happening? What are the reasons? Question yourself, visualize, right? And understand the bigger picture. Right? If you're given a problem, these are coming from schools, right? So that is why we work in clubs and societies. Now, sometimes as a school student, even myself and probably you as well, we didn't realize why are we having these science days, commerce days, right? But when you go out of the school, right, you tend to realize the reasons why you are having those days, right? Because you tend to get to manage something, organize something, face challenges within a very controlled environment, of course, right? For example, if you're organizing a parade, right, you have to go to the police station, get these things done. So those gives you experience, right, on how to manage day-to-day activities, right? Maybe you are going to get maybe you are going to get into the next step when you're in an organization, but that gives you some kind of a head start on what you are being expected in the future, right? So getting to getting to understand those concepts, right? Working in teams, right? Analytical thinking and communication, right? Very much important in general to be successful in a career. Because what I've seen is, right, people who have this analytical thinking, right, to break down a problem or a given situation into smaller pieces and come up with solutions, right, are more successful compared to the others, right? So that thinking should be trained, right? In our CQ HRM syllabus, right? Our CQ HRM syllabus from the first stage to the CA final, right? That is what it does, right? Gives you a thinking. That is why we have case studies, right? Practical scenarios, right? To train your mind to get solutions to problems, right? So that you can be successful in a business context. So those are the skills I would say, and also the presentations, right? Communication is built within this institute as well, right? We give a presentation just to present yourself in front of your colleagues, right? So that automatically, inherently, it is been built. So I would say these are the opportunities you get, right, to be to be successful. Already it's there. You don't have to do something extra to do that, right? It is within your school, within the institute, and it's up how you grasp it and make use of it and take it as an opportunity and apply it in your organization. So if you can do that, probably you will. I don't think there will be an issue of finding any internships or jobs for sure, guaranteed.
Right. And of course, I think because with the competitiveness in the industry, I think being ready with all those skills what you mentioned, the communication, leadership, so that would definitely create your competitive advantage.
Exactly.
Right. And then another important question I wanted to ask, even I have this down now. There are situations where we find there can be very potential individuals. They will come up to the final level of the interview, but unfortunately, due to some things like they won't be selected. So I want to know what exactly uh, how is your thinking behind selecting one person over another? Like, what I personally feel is attitude can be a reason. Okay. So likewise, do you have any other reasons for you to select one person over another person?
Of course, yes. Now, when you are selecting candidates, it's a very hard job. Recruitment is a very hard job, especially if you are a line manager selecting one over the other. You need to consider all aspects. Sometimes, if you have one vacancy, right, you have two candidates equally good, right? But you can only give a chance to just one, right? So you have to be very careful when you are selecting, right? You have to go through over and over the conversations, the interviews, compare the CVs, right? You have to find something a differentiator. So to differentiate yourself, right, I would say you have to understand what is required in the current context. Now, I would say if you look at World Economic Forum skill sets, right? Every decade or every once in 5 years, they release the most lucrative or uh, most attractive skills, right? So, as a person, as a profession, this is applicable for any person, including myself and you as well, right? We have to align ourselves with those skills, top skills, which is relevant to us, right? If we can showcase our competencies in those, right? In a scenario, in a dilemma like that, right? You have two, but you have to select one, right? If you touch upon those traits, right? If you show high degree of skills on those specific, attractive skills, right? Compared to other, you have a high chance, right? So that is a hard decision, but in organizations, if we have only one position, we can only give a chance to one person, just one person. So you have to create your own differentiators, and you need to tell the interview panel if they hire you, rather than asking what is in it for me, right? You need to tell them if you've been hired, what will be in it for the organization, what value you will create, right? That will in turn create value for you as well, because if you showcase your talent, if you create value to the organization, right, any organization will support you and reward you, right? So in to break the tie, right, as a candidate, right, you have to make sure that you differentiate, right? Differentiate yourself and touch upon those key skills which are required in every role. Again, it's a hard decision, but you have to take hard decisions in life.
Yeah. Yes, interesting. So with that, I want to add on to that question.
Yeah.
Now, apart from that, basically, like, what other skills do you expect from a candidate? Is it like, it can be like the personal attributes, can be their character. Likewise, do you specifically check something like that?
Of course, yes. Especially for in general, yes. So, what I would say, technical skills you can train.
Hmm.
Technical skills you can learn right by yourself, right? But interpersonal skills, right? Teamwork, working in a team, right? Conflict resolution, right? Handling pressure, right? Handling pressure and working with customers, right? Those are things that is required. Your attitude is required, right? So uh, you need to have those skills, right? You might be very good at what you do, right? Technically, you are sound, right? For example, you have credentials to become an HR manager, but if you don't have the traits of a interpersonal skills to be a HR manager, your credentials will be less priority, but your interpersonal skills will come up, right? Similar to a HR executive or an intern, right? So those matter, right? Especially if you look at the HR job role, right? It's my view on HR professional or HR intern or HR professional is that person should gel with the team, outgoing person, talk to the teams, right? Should be a person who can anybody can talk to in a comfortable manner, right? And if you're like what I normally tell most of my students is, if you are a silent person, you're good for accounting, right? Right? In accounting, you don't talk. Numbers will talk,
Yeah.
right? But in HR, you have to be talkative. Right? You have to talk to them, talkative in a very good way, right?
Not annoying.
Not annoying, right? Don't get me wrong, right? So you have to project your interpersonal skills and give that vibe to the people so that they can open up, right? If you're a silent character, if you are just just waiting or just be on your own, right? That is not a good trait for a HR intern or executive to be in, right? So my view as a neutral non-HR person, right? That is my ideal HR role, right? Who's outgoing, who can gel with the people, and be friendly and a team player.
True. Because what I can recall with my experience is that if anyone in the organization, be it in any hierarchy,
Yeah.
The first person whom they go to, if they have a concern, if they have a problem, should be the HR person. They should
Exactly.
work hard to build that personality.
And also HR, when there's a problem in somebody, right? Professional should be able to highlight, quickly identify that.
Yeah.
The psychology, the
Proactive.
behavior, proactive behavior. We have to know people, right? That's why I told it's not easy.
True. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Harshana. An interesting segment.
Yeah.
Now we are going into the core, like the segment number 3,
Yeah.
HR plus IT.
Yeah.
Very distinctive combination because IT, it's been the talk since the early 2000s. Like,
Correct.
It's peak since then. HR silently maintaining its
Momentum, yeah.
momentum also. So you see two different fields, and you are having a very interesting profile also. So if I'm to, when I got your profile, one thing I noticed is I have worked with uh, I have seen, I have met, I have worked with IT experts who are well qualified in the IT field, and I have worked with people, HR people, who are highly qualified in HR. But your profile, very interesting. You are equally qualified in both the fields, HR and IT, and you are performing an IT role, right? So that actually popped up like a lot of questions within. So I wanted to ask, how does this combination really work, HR and IT?
Very interesting question. I would like to take my career as an example, right? Now, accidentally I came to it, to be honest, right? So, if I just elaborate how I came, and then I'll answer your question, right? So once I completed my degree, I was waiting for a job for a couple of months, right? It was very hard to get jobs in those days because the IT entry point was very, very tough at that time, right? Because entry points were very low compared to now, right? So I was playing games, right? As a youngster, right, early 20s, right? I was playing games, right? And my father told me, look here, you are just wasting time, right? Go somewhere and when your mind is fresh, right? Since you just completed a degree, your mind is fresh, right? You can learn something new, right? And then one of my friends, couple of my friends were doing their PQHRM at the time, right? That was the earlier course program at CIPM, right? And then I was just wondering, okay, this is a good choice. Maybe until I find a job, I could do this, right? So I got an exemption because I had a degree at that time, and so I skipped foundation and certificate as well, and I directly gave it to PQHRM first stage, right? So that was a turning point in my life. Right? Why I'm telling you that is, right? I got my first job, I think, because of this combination.
Okay.
Right? I work for one of the premier HR solutions providers, right? If I give you the organization name, it's Zenit, right? I started working at Zenit, and I started as a business analyst, right? Interestingly, right, this role required to understand the HR business process of a customer, right? Document it, convert that into a IT specification
Mm-hmm.
and give it to a software engineer to develop it.
Okay.
Right? If I simply break it down, break the job description down, that was a simple ask. So what made it simple for me is while I was doing my job at Zenit, I was learning HR. I was learning because I was a tech guy before that, right? I knew I did coding for my degree, right? I did software engineering concepts, all of that I have learned, but I haven't learned management. That was my first exposure to management, apart from the commerce subjects I did during my A-levels, right? While I was learning, I was practically understanding business processes of customers, right? Understanding them, writing them down, getting their confirmation, and converting them into software,
Right. Okay.
right? So HR helped me a lot to firstly get my first job, right? And specialize myself as a HR IT business analyst.
HR IT business analyst. Okay.
Or in other words, to become a HR consultant in IT.
Okay. So what was your designation?
It was known as business analyst,
Business analyst. Okay.
but my specialization was
HR.
HR systems, right? So my role was to get the requirement, understand business process, where my subjects gave me the grounding
Okay.
to understand what this is. For example, performance management, right? For sure, a totally tech IT professional will struggle,
Okay.
right? But I had the grounding from CIPM. I knew the subject, I knew the theories behind it, the practices behind it, right? To get the requirement and maybe to give some pointers to the customer. Look here, you can improve like this,
True.
right? Because it's not worthwhile converting the same process into IT solution, right?
And I think the customer will also be really impressed because you exactly understand their language.
Exactly. Because I'm not working with the tech guy.
Yeah.
I'm working with the business guy, HR professional, right? I'm working with the HR business. So I should talk in the same way, same language. So I believe this combination was the starting point of my career, which gave me the boost to specialize. So it's a very nice combination, which again accidentally came up for me. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you were mentioning that in your degree you did coding. Okay. Now, my next question is for an HR professional to work in an IT industry or to get into a role something like what you are doing right now, is coding required?
My answer is no. Only thing is you need to know the business very well, but and also if you can get some IT knowledge, right? Maybe not a you don't have to have a degree, right? If you have a degree, if you have done a secondary degree, that's totally fine, right? But for example, if we have our undergraduates, right? If you are passionate about in HR, to convert HR, how HR tech works, right? You just know how to. You just have to know the basis, the business. That's number one.
Yeah.
And then probably you can maybe do some self-learning about IT concepts, right? At a very high level, right? You don't have to be a programmer, right? Coding knowledge is very minimal, right? So, but if you have a little bit of background, that will be good because you are talking with technical guys, software engineers, but it's not a must.
So, do you think for completely HR, like a person who is having fully background in HR, for them to learn technology, would it be comfortable for them, or should they put themselves out and somehow learn it?
I would say that is the thing. That is the thing,
Okay.
right? You should, I mean, yes, it might not be comfortable, but you need to know, right? Now we have this buzzword AI, right? No matter how hard it is, we have to embrace it. So similarly, as you rightly mentioned, since the 2000s, right? IT was the subject, and I don't still see IT going down, right? There are
Okay.
different buzzwords going on, but I think it will continue, right? But for a HR professional, knowing IT is a must, because it will open up, it's the key to new opportunities. I believe as a professional, we should not settle for traditional jobs. We should start looking at what is there for us in the future. As you rightly mentioned, how the global HR works. Since we have the SQA credential now, we have given our students the leverage or the passport to be globally competitive and recognized.
True.
So, what my advice to the HR, the current HR students is tech is a must, right? HR plus tech is a great combination which goes beyond your like traditional IT HR roles, which will open up new roles. And I'm talking about highly paid professions, right? These are highly paid professions, right?
Okay.
Compared to traditional HR roles, these are highly paid professions. And you have the chance, again, I'm telling you, don't get driven by money, right? But there's an opportunity, right? First, you have to have the passion and excel. Once you excel, you have the chance of working from anywhere in the world and earn from any currency you like. So that's the level of opportunity that we have currently for HR students with some tech background and with the HR core domain knowledge.
Okay. So that takes me to the next question now. When it comes to the global context, how do you think the demand is there when it comes to global context? Of course, locally we see people like you.
Yeah.
Globally, like people wants to pursue HR plus tech kind of role. Globally, how does the demand?
The demand is huge, right? Because if you look at global softwares like SAP, SAP, right? IFS, Oracle, right? They are global software used across the globe, right? To know, for example, if you take the HR module of a major ERP or a software like that, right? To know the HR domain and the software, how it works, right? It is a great advantage for anybody. You are globally competitive and the demand is huge, right? You don't have to travel to another country or migrate, right? Even from Sri Lanka, you can work remotely and earn foreign currency, right? But this requires substantial experience. You have to do your groundwork, right? Don't get again. This is don't get misled that this will happen overnight. But if you excel, there's a high chance doing that. And I think our CQHRM program has given the foundation to our students to start that and add on certain new things to their CV or the skill set, right? By self-learning and get to that level. So if you look at globally, there's a huge demand.
Immense opportunity. Super. So another question to you in regards to that. I need your suggestion. If, like, imagine, of course, this is very inspiring what you said. People who are inspired there, if they are going to start build them today, from today, what one skill would you recommend to start working on from today?
One skill, very simple skill, right? Have that learning attitude.
Okay.
So you have to continuously learn because I can give you an example, right? My boss, I report to the chief delivery officer in my current organization. He's a Scottish national, and he has wealth of experience in life. He's like, to be honest, he calls me Sam. To be honest, right? Very, very nice person. What he told me was, right, being a well-experienced 35, 40 plus experience, he still takes every day as a school day, given his exposure, right? And he's he's an inspiration for me as well. That's why learning is the first skill. The attitude to learn is the first skill that you need to start today. Nothing else. Learn. That's it.
Okay. And one last question from this segment. Now, we tend to see, of course, there is a massive boom and we don't see a decline, as you said, in the field of IT.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are situations where tech used to fail. Okay, so do you think the reason for this is not understanding the customer requirement exactly, or is it the team working behind this, or what exactly is the issue there?
Very interesting question. Okay, if I tell you, being in tech for the last 14 years and working in different projects in different capacities as a business analyst, as a project manager, right? What I've seen is, this was my MBA research as well, right? Why IT projects fail, right?
Okay.
My
I
con-
didn't know it before. Okay.
right? My conclusion, right? Just forget about the research, right? My professional judgment is technology is easy. Technology is not so hard. Again, 1+1 is 2, right? There could be limitations, right? But we can give workarounds, right? But many technology initiatives fail simply because of people, right? So that brings me to another opportunity for HR professionals nowadays, right? Many tech initiatives fail because of people. 60-70% of projects fail due to people, because we are not like, if you are implementing a new software to your organization, it's complete business transformation. Today you will do through one process, but tomorrow you have to change your entire process into a different. You have to work in a different way. Both of us are resistant to change. It's human nature, right? That is human nature.
Yeah.
Right? That's the nature. Only thing is, right, we have to manage the change, right? To be successful in IT initiatives, people plays a major role. Very crucial. Technology, yes, you can manage, you can control technology. The challenge is how to manage people and the expectations. And here, HR professionals have a major role to play. Every day, like I'm referring back to my lectures as well in this institute, right? I always say HR professionals should be the guiding light and the change agents. And there's immense opportunity for HR professionals to get into this again tech and IT mixture and leverage this change, support them through change. Because many organizations fail in their tech initiatives because people are not adopting. And for me, if you look at it, you need a very specific skill set to do that, to leverage that, right? I might not be the best person to manage change because I'm not that expert, right? HR professional is the best person because that person has this mindset to understand people, their psychology, their thinking, their culture, to leverage this change and take them through this journey. It's a journey. When you're changing from one system to another, right? This technological transformation, it's basically changing the way we work. It's a journey. So HR professionals will have this opportunity to contribute as change agents as well. Apart from their traditional HR executive role. So it's another opportunity where tech comes into the HR domain.
Super, very interesting. So that brings us to the end of the segment 3. Now let's go into the segment 4, and that is the reality. Now, here my first question, what I'm going to pose towards you is, this combination itself was very unique.
Yeah.
So sounds like a perfect blend after your explanation. So what are the opportunities out there? Like, can you name me the designations out there where people can start exploring from today?
Right. So I'll keep it very simple. Right. One thing that apart from traditional roles that you know, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you are interested, right? If you're passionate about IT and HR both, how you can combine? If you are passionate about HR and also you are passionate about a little bit of IT, you can start with as an entry point as a business analyst, right? you can specialize in the HR domain and learn a new system, right, out there. Right? For example, there are a lot of systems, brands, right, and learn that functionality. And with your domain knowledge coupled with your IT and system knowledge, you can start becoming a business analyst, right? Start in that role, right? Analyzing businesses, right? And also, when you gradually go through the ranks, you will ultimately become a consultant, right? So consultant is one step ahead of a business analyst. So you understand the business, you consult them on how the best practice work, right? So you bring the domain knowledge and the IT knowledge and give them the path for the next 5 years, how to sustain the business with technology, right? You consult, right? For example, we if you take a doctor, right? For a small illness, we go to a general practitioner, and we go to a consultant to get further advice, more professional advice, right? Similar to that, right? That's another role, right? Business consultant in HR tech, right? And the other part is change management, right? Many organizations fail there, right? So globally, there's a demand for change agents. For these change agents, right, you need to have the HR background. That is the core. And also to know a little bit about tech as well. Combine together, take them through this journey. Take the staff through this journey and successfully deliver the transformation. There's another role like that. And also now organizations are looking at a lot of digital initiatives, right? And most, for example, we have several organizations in Sri Lanka also who are now digital organizations, right? Across the globe, that is the thing. Every organization is striving to be that, a digital organization, right? That brings another challenge, how to manage the people factor, right? So there will be new roles designed, right? Something like chief digital officer, right? If I talk about the strategic plan, right? In my view, the ideal candidate for a chief digital officer should be a HR professional with IT background. Because 60% of digital transformation is people, managing people. Technology, as I told you. So seasoned HR professionals have this opportunities to grasp within the technology world. If you combine, you can form synergies between the two domains. So these are some of the opportunities we have for HR professionals, especially.
So if you are to name certain designations, how would you call, like, imagine they want to go and search it today itself on whatever the platforms, LinkedIn or any other job platforms. So what type of designation they can look for?
If you're a fresher, I would say business analyst.
Business analyst.
Yeah. So that is the starting point. Could be intern now. Now the current job role, how they have design is basically you start from intern and then associate and then business analyst, likewise senior lead, likewise. So I would say if you're a total fresher, start with the intern business analyst, right? And if you assume most of our students are HR domain oriented, they're looking for HR jobs. So look at organizations which delivers HR solutions, right?
Okay.
HRI system companies, right? They need people with domain expertise. And if you can also self-learn or do something, get yourself educated on IT, concepts of it, right? It'll be beneficial, right? So if you combine both together, you have a great opportunity to get to a domain that is well paid and which opens up various opportunities in the tech space.
Right. So again, that brings back to me, like, this could be repetitive, but I'm again asking the demand. for these roles. Now, by the looks of it, what I feel is okay. You won't have much opportunities compared to the other field. It might be less comparatively. The opportunities I'm mentioning here,
Yeah.
but once you get in, it's going to be massive. That's for sure. Likewise, now imagine uh, to prepare themselves, they have to invest. They have to invest a considerate amount of time, money, everything. So, how about the demand again? Of course, as per the answers you gave me before, demand is there, but how many people like there? What I want is now there might be supply, but will all the people get the job? That's my question.
Yeah. So it's a niche market. Niche market, right? So, and not everybody can be successful as well. You have to have the right blend to be in the tech space, right? So if you think that you have the right blend, right, which requires to be in the tech space, in the tech industry with your IT domain knowledge, right? Of course, you can differentiate yourself, right? Yes, sometimes you might not be in the traditional stream of HR, but there are people whom I know who have been in the traditional HR field, in HR departments, and they have come with substantial experience, they have shifted to this space. So they bring in domain knowledge,
Okay.
and they have helped many top-end systems, brands, global systems to improve their functionality because of their domain knowledge. So that path is also there. Even for a fresher, you can start from here and gradually grow if you have the right blend. Uh, there is a demand, but not everybody can get it. So you need to have the right mixture.
Okay.
And also one thing, Abhi, before I forget it, right? You have the no, we were talking about just the HR professionals learning a little bit about IT, right? The IT professionals could also learn HR.
Yeah.
For me, for the current job, right? Because I learned HR practices, that has helped me to manage stakeholders,
True.
right? So I would say for an IT professional, HR is a subject. At least you might not have to do a complete degree, right? It's good to get some certifications under your belt, right? Maybe our programs, right? It's a good opportunity to get the gist of it, right? So that the IT profession also get this exposure because they also need it, right? So while we encourage the HR professional to get some IT exposure, I would encourage the IT professionals to get some HR exposure as well. So, because it's required.
Okay. Interesting. So, okay, now with we hear this a lot, and I'm not very sure if this is a myth or the reality that AI and the technology is replacing people. That's like people, everyone I meet have this fear. Now, do you think with the growth of this technology, the AI and stuff,
Yeah.
is people still required, or will AI replace that also?
My personal view is we are still looking at AI. We don't know exactly how we are going to use AI. Right? There are plenty of use cases. But if you really look at it, this is my personal opinion, right? Yes, AI can do a lot of things. That's true. But we have to look at the practical side of it as well. Practical side of it as well. Because not everything can be done by AI, right? Uh, yes, I'm a big fan of AI. I use AI to do my daily tasks, right? But we have to look at how we are going to use it. My view is AI should not be our master. It is our assistant to be productive. We can ask an AI agent to do certain stuff for us which consumes time, repetitive, right? And let it do that. But we as people focus on more strategic stuff, strategic aspects, right? For example, now, if you take HR for example, my view, personally, again controversial, right? operational HR is already automated. I don't think we need people in the next few months or years, right? Foreseeable future. We don't need people. Right? There are many companies who are using AI to recruit people, right? Top companies, right? They're using AI to recruit people, right? But maybe the final stages, human intervention is required. As I told you, you can't completely give away to AI, right? Operational HR is now taken over. AI can handle it. Even some parts of tactical HR as well. Not everything, not all. But of course, strategic HR, right? A strategic HR professional cannot be replaced because you cannot simply let HR, our most important asset, especially in the service industry, the industry that I work for, right? People are the key, right? That cannot be replaced, right? Those decisions should be taken by humans, and there will be shift like this. In the foreseeable future, HR department will have to manage people, human capital, as well as machines as well.
Okay.
That is
Tech is a must. They have to.
Yeah. So they will have to train the AI agents as well in the next 4 years. I'm talking about next 4 years, not in the next 50 years.
Okay.
Right? So when AI agents are running, sometimes your customer customer care, a call center is an AI agent, right? The customer might be talking to an AI, right? So if you're putting an AI to the forefront of your business to face the customer, you have to have that confidence, right? And your HR professionals have this opportunity and also this burden and more responsibility now to be the custodian of these AI employees as well, AI agents as well.
Okay.
So HR is also now changing, in my view. So I don't think completely AI will replace humans. If that is the case, all these economies will go down, right? You're talking about a scenario like in Spellbind, I believe. Have you watched Spellbind before?
No. I have heard of the movie.
Right? So it's about parallel worlds where when you go to this parallel world, everything is done by machines, robots.
Similar to this Matrix movie.
Exactly. Right? I mean, if people don't have income, no business will sustain. Right? I mean, if people lose jobs, right, that means there's no income. Right?
Yeah.
It's basically the computer revolution, like the computer revolution, right? When the computer came in, people thought, okay, when the internet came in, okay, we are losing jobs. But just some job roles got obsolete, obviously. If you look at the shorthand typist role, with the computer, it got replaced. The only thing that changed was we had to use a computer rather than a typewriter, right? So we, as people, we have to evolve and embrace these technological changes. We have to have an open mind. If you do so, people who have an open mind will succeed and sustain and prosper. But if you don't have the learning attitude, right, you will fail. So that's the differentiator.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So yes. So again, very interesting session. So I think with all these, we got an understanding about the combination HR and IT. And if audience, if you have any questions, please do let us know through the chat. And if you or else you can even contact CIPM where we will be able to help you out. So that brings to the next sessions. So let's get into the myth versus reality. So my first question to you, I need to know if this is a myth or a reality. You need to know coding to work in HR technology.
It's a myth.
It's a myth. Any specific reason?
I don't think you should be a programmer. If you ask me, I can't write a code. Yes, I have done coding 15 years ago,
Right.
but I can't write a single code now. Right? So the truth is, right, I can't write a code, but I work with software engineers. I did a solution. So it's a myth.
Okay.
So that's totally given.
Okay, super. Myth or reality? HR tech jobs pay less than traditional HR jobs?
Reality. Because, again, for traditional HR roles, you have plenty of people, plenty of demand and opportunity, a lot of graduates are.
Okay.
But such niche market opportunities, very less people with the right combination. And not everybody can do that job. It's a very specialized role. Therefore, you're paid compared to a traditional, paid well compared to traditional. I can't say paid really big amounts. It depends on the company and also the person person whom you ask, right? You can't justify income levels, but compared to traditional roles, it is paid well.
So, right. Myth or reality? HR tech careers are only for people already working in HR.
Myth. So any person can get into, but again, I would like to highlight with a person with HR, a blend of HR and IT will have better chance to prosper. If you're starting with a pure IT background, you can start. But at a given point, you will have to know the domain, so you might have to learn the domain, right? Maybe from CIP, right? I don't know, right? So there will be a situation like that, but anybody can start. But a person, for example, a CIPM undergraduate or a student or a current or a professional can enter with a competitive advantage.
One last question from myth or reality. You need an IT degree to build a career in HR technology.
Myth.
All right. Any
Examples there are, as I told you, I know several people who doesn't have IT degree at all, but they have one. I know one of my good friends, right, a student of CIPM, and she came with wealth of experience to one of the top system providers in Sri Lanka, right, globally accredited system. We deliver that software to the globe, right, and she has added a lot of features to that software which is being used by global customers, one of our students, right? So she doesn't have IT degree. As I know, she has a certification in psychology and PQHR, right? And see the examples.
Super. Right. Okay. All right. Now we come into the rapid fire session. Okay. So I'll ask question. You need to give the answers immediately. No matter if you take time, that's not a problem. Okay.
You're putting me in trouble.
Right. What is the one skill every HR student should learn before graduating?
Analytical skill. Must.
A good CV or a real project? What matters more?
For me, real projects. I don't care about CVs.
Okay. What one thing people don't expect when entering HR tech?
Can I come back again?
What one thing people don't expect when entering HR tech?
Good question. You are going to change how people work in their business. HR tech will transform and transform the way they do things, right? You don't expect that because you don't expect somebody else's work will be transformed, right? You transform the way they work. So I don't think anybody will expect that to give a better experience to the users. Right.
Okay. So you need to complete this sentence. The future of HR is.
Future of HR is not only just managing people, it will be managing machines as well. Agents, not machines, AI employees, agents as well. So that is how I think, probably not in the next 25 years, probably in the next 4 years.
Super. That's the biggest learning for me today in the whole podcast session, like where you have to manage the AI agents. Anyways, a wonderful session, Mr. Harshana. I got a lot of knowledge and a lot of insights, and I hope the audience there also would have taken it. And I'm sure today people who are thinking of getting into HR or who are already in HR might consider of taking an additional course in learning tech and trying to get into the field.
Yep.
So that if one person is doing it, which means the podcast is success, right? So Harshana, any last comments or suggestions you need to make, or a guidance you need to give to the audience out there who is going to start their career in HR, what would it be?
Right. So one thing that I would like to highlight is you need to be committed. Number one, you need to have the passion. So I'm just taking from my early life, right? It's okay not knowing everything, right? You might not know what you want to do. That is totally fine. That is being young, right? Everybody goes through that. But you need to be committed and passionate about what you want to become someday, have that goals and try to work for it, right? Have that commitment continuously. You might fail, right? I think you have failed. I have also failed many occasions, in many occasions. So embrace those failures as pillars of success. Continue, drive forward, and you can achieve success. Simple truth.
So just one question, I actually wanted to know this now. A lot of students, they lose this commitment when they go to the first second interview.
Yes.
They fail and they give up. Okay, this is not for me. What is your suggestion for them?
Right, good, good question. So to get my first job, I had to go through 35, 40 plus interviews, right?
Seriously?
Seriously.
Okay.
So I was in Kandy at that time. So for example, today I came for an interview to Colombo. I go home today in the evening. Sometimes I get a call in the morning saying that we have an interview, can you come tomorrow, right? So I pack my bags again, go back. And I was doing this for 6 months, right? While my friends are doing their jobs, right? But I never lost the motivation. The opportunity that I got was I knew once I went through all these interviews, I knew how I can the mechanism to succeed in an interview, and what are the things that I should not do where I will get failed, right? So I got the confidence to face interviews with those 35 interviews, right? So that is again pillars of success. After that, right, I have failed only in very few interviews, right? I've been working in 7 different companies, and almost every job, almost I would say 90% of the jobs that I applied for, I went for interviews, I got it. I believe that is because the exposure that I got at the early stage of my career, I failed a lot, but those failures gave me the foundation to succeed in the future.
Excellent.
Do not give up.
Do not give up. So that would be the end, the signature of the podcast today. So again, thank you very much, Mr. Harshana. Brilliant. Again, thank you very much for the insights which we got it. And for the students, whoever is watching the podcast, make sure you are not giving up on the interviews, your study plans, plan it well ahead, and tech, as Mr. Harshana rightly mentioned, has immense opportunities. So you can think about a blend with HR and tech. And if you have any questions, you can always come to CIPM, meet us, and get to know more about us. All right. Thank you very much.